Good evening, everyone. The Richmond Board of Education acknowledges and thanks the First Peoples of the Hunkaminam Language Group on whose traditional and unceded territories we teach, learn, and live. All right, trustees, you have the agenda before you. Unless there's any additions or errors, I'm looking for a mover and a seconder. Moved by Trustee Yang, seconded by Trustee Larson. Thank you. Business arising from prior minutes. So we have some motions that we're going to go through. Trustees, just to note, we have an even number of trustees here. If after the vote is completed, it is a tie, the motion is defeated. Correct? Trustee or Cindy?
Correct.
Thank you. Okay. And also, too, in terms of the process, we will have the motion be read out, needs to be seconded, and then we'll take questions. So we'll just go through, and you have a 5-minute time period to ask any questions. Following that, we'll go back the other way, and if you want to explain why you're going to vote the way you are, for example, I'm going to vote in favor because blank, 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 or I'm going to vote against. You're welcome to do that, but you're not obligated to, okay? So we want to make sure that everyone gets a chance to speak out, but we don't want to be here for 5 hours either, so. Okay, so I'm going to start off with the motion A1, amendment to draft 2026-2027 annual budget, mental health and school psychologist. A report from Trustee Yang is attached. Trustee Yang, would you like to speak to that?
Yes, thank you very much, Chairperson. Would you like me to move the motion?
If you could, I think it's the
Certainly. I move that the Board of Education amend the draft 2026-27 annual budget to reverse the proposed budget adjustments of teacher consultant mental health 1.0 FTE and school psychologist 0.2 FTE, and further that the board allocate $153,000 from operating surplus or contingency reserve to fund the amendment. And I will so move.
So move, looking for a seconder. Seconded by Trustee Larson, thank you. Okay, start with questions, and I'm just going to start one end and go back and forth. So, Trustee Beliza, do you have any questions for Trustee Yang regarding his motion?
Can I reserve the question later?
Yes. Trustee Sargent?
Is this just for questions?
Just for
No
questions.
comments? No.
Okay. I have no questions. Trustee Larson, do you have any questions? Trustee Tablani, do you have any questions?
Question for staff on this.
Yeah, that's fine.
Yeah, I guess maybe I need this, I don't know. I just wonder, for the teacher consultant, then, you know, I'm aware that if the current teacher is not in place, then, you know, we do have the ICY supports and other things that were not previously in place with the district to manage. But I'm wondering, you know, for the support, consultation, referrals, interventions, how will this be managed in the future? Like, is somebody else going to take this on in our senior management, or is this all being redistributed, or are we just relying on the ICY supports for this in the future?
Well, through the chair, if I could comment, the proposals that are presented in the budget reports anticipates that if there are reductions as being currently proposed by trustees, if those positions are upheld, we'll continue as our current practice, and if they're not, necessary adjustments would have to be made.
So we will adjust to other staff assignments?
As we would in any situation where there's a reduction.
So we will cover the necessary work in some other way, is that correct?
We will, but again, I think
Well,
it's.
it might not look the same, but.
Yeah, well, through the chair, I think we all recognize that any reduction will impact our ability in any one of those positions, to make adjustments. We don't want to in any way suggest that any reduction would make those reductions and they will not impact the work ahead. So that's just to say that should the reduction be made, necessary adjustments will be made, and if not, we'll carry on as is.
Okay. Coming back to you, Trustee Belize, did you have a question?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Considering that we're spending $153,000, I would like to know from the proponent of the motion the justification of the position, retention of the position, and its impact to our organizational effectiveness if we don't consider this. Just for you.
Are we moving into debate?
Yes, we are.
Thank you, Chairperson. So I guess I'll start off by just outlining both the roles of the mental health teacher consultant as well as the school psychologist as I see it. And so based on information, my understanding, for the teacher consultant position, amongst all other responsibilities, they're responsible for processing referrals from school-based staff on students requiring mental health support. They're the point person, particularly in terms of consultation, to get in touch with area counselors, integrated child and youth team members, and the adolescent support team. They're in charge of capacity building for various initiatives in our district, including the ones led by students, as well as a very important role of leading professional development, professional learning development for our district, for our staff to better understand mental health issues. And so that's only a small sample of the work that mental health teacher consultants, what they do. For a psychologist, again, amongst a lot of other responsibilities they have, their role, as I understand it, is to consult, is to be a consultative person on student learning and academic concerns, determining need for and administering diagnosis for students requiring a psychoeducation assessment. They're also responsible for reviewing test results for school teams and families, as well as making recommendations on how a student is supported in the classroom. All that is to say that this is, to me, very important work that is part of the continuum of mental health supports for this district. I fear that by simply asking the system and other folks to do more, that we're really going to be taking a step back in our efforts to address the mental health needs of our learning communities as best as we could. One example I've heard repeatedly over this process is the fact that we do have integrated and child youth team members. I also would like to note on the record that my understanding is these folks are, in addition to their work or their responsibilities to the school district, they're also responsible to Vancouver Coastal Health, as well as the Ministry of Child and Family Development. And, I think lots could be said about the workload in these public sectors as well. So I think it's one of many examples why this would be an unfair downloading of further work in this such important work that we're doing. And really, just wanted to take the opportunity to highlight the importance of mental health here. Some of us were at the Student Voice Forum, and we've heard directly from students what it means to have mental health supports in schools and have that continuum of support that is helpful. There are gaps as identified by students, and we've heard many stories. But that's exactly why our model of support has to be sustainable, and now is not the time to take a step back. I've heard repeatedly from service providers, both in relation to the education sectors, as well as just folks out there providing mental health supports in general, that oftentimes it's not about the quantity of your caseload. Rather, it is the complexity of your caseload. Oftentimes you will have a student or you will have somebody walking through the door asking for help, and their needs are multi-layered. You could have somebody walking through the door with, just as an example, anxiety or depression, and all these things layer on top of each other, and it can't be easily quantified, but that work is hard, and that work is, sometimes very difficult for our service providers, and we have to acknowledge that. And I think through our recent strategic plan, we've made a purposeful emphasis on supporting our mental health initiatives and supporting student mental well-being by explicitly adding this to the strategic plan as part of Priority 1, and I think that has to be acknowledged as well. All that's to say, I think we ultimately have to put ourselves in the context that this is going to be the third straight budget where we will have reductions, and certainly something to be said about the morale of the district in this moment in time. When I certainly engage in conversations, that's something you feel. The board, in terms of the board reserves, in terms of the numbers, this is a $153,000 ask from the contingency reserve or the operating fund surplus, which is really a fraction of the amount that we have to retain as part of our surplus policy. So I'll leave it at that for now. I'm sure there's further comments from other trustees, which I'm happy to address in closing debate. Thank you.
Okay, so before we call the question, we'd like to have some more discussion. Now, if you have a question, feel free to ask again, or if you just want to explain how you want to vote and why you're going to vote that way, and you're not even obligated to do that. So we're going to start again down this end here. Trustee Beliza, do you want to add any more to what you said already?
I'm inclined to support the motion in the sense that the need for mental health, including intervention, is very important to our school district, especially after the COVID, COVID incidents that we have in the previous years. But until now, I've heard from our administrators, school administrators, that there is still that problem we have in schools, compounded by other sources. So the need to have professional to deal with that particular issue is very important. So for that particular reasons, I spending money that would undoubtedly promote student success and address the very concerns that we have in our school district is very important to me. Thank you.
Thank you. Trustee Sargent, would you like to speak?
Yeah, thanks very much. And if you wouldn't mind, I'm going to do my comments now
Yes.
on this one. And so thank you very much for this opportunity. I will not be supporting this amendment, nor any other amendment that will be coming this evening. And I'd like to give the reason why, and I won't repeat it after each one. After extensive and well-respected process, staff brought us their very best thinking from an operational, educational, leadership perspective, what they feel are the best options for meeting our structural deficit. We had a lot of input, and I'm very proud of our BOG meetings. And we had a committee of the whole meeting, which I reflected on and asked staff more questions. I had questions, and I have been asking staff about their thinking during the whole process and listening to our stakeholders, hearing what they're telling us. Again, after our committee of the whole, I had further questions, but after hearing their operational rationale and where they were hoping to take their portfolios, it made sense to me. And as a governor, I respect their perspective, and I want to support what they are trying to do. We are in a structural deficit. Most of my tenure, 25 years, has been making cuts. It's not at all why I ran, but it is my duty. We are in a structural deficit that has to be addressed. I believe it is my job to do that now, while I am in the role of a trustee, and not pass it along to the next board. It is very hard to make cuts, but I feel it is my duty. We also know already next year will be worse, so it is important I help make it a little easier this year, especially given there will be a new board. Under the Ministry of Education and Childcare, there are strict financial rules we must follow. We also developed through many discussions our own policy around surplus. We are sitting under that amount that we should be, and these amendments will take us lower than that. The surplus really has the wrong name attached to it. It is not a surplus to do with what we want. It is there to protect the district in case of any emergencies. It is the same as our personal budgets. If we do not have anything in savings, we are potentially setting us and our families up for a real emergency. We do not take our personal budgets right to the limit or under. Many years ago, the Ministry of Education, instead of funding us correctly, would tell us, oh, just take it out of your surplus. Boards were very upset, and at the time, BCSDA did a lot of advocacy around that. In the end, BCSDA and the ministry produced appropriate and mutual understanding around the word surplus and co-created a document that rules to follow. After much discussion with our community and staff, I cannot at this point pull a couple of saves off the list. I believe I wanted to do that. I should have done that in process. I should have done that much earlier. We did receive the suggestions quite a while back. It can be seen by our staff and public that those staff that are being pulled off are more important than others. As a board member, I cannot do that. All the staff on the list are valuable and important, and one is not more important than the other, and their commitment and their what they give to every student in this district makes a difference. I think about all the things on the list, and I've listened to my colleague, and I think about the ELL support that we're cutting. I think about all the other things that are happening. I can't equate to choose one over the other. These are all important people, and they make a huge difference to us. I guess, lastly, I really am concerned that I do not send the message that if you lobby hard enough, your job will be saved. These are not political decisions, but ones based on real educational, factual information, which we get from our educational leaders and our financial experts. I am sorry we are in a position again to make cuts. I am proud of the process that we went through. I find this meeting very awkward. And again, I will, for the reasons I've noted, I will not be supporting any of the amendments. Thank you.
Trustee Yang, I'm going to come back to you last, so you'll get the last word. Trustee Larson.
Yes, thank you. I will be supporting Trustee Yang's motion, and I appreciate all my colleagues. We're a board of 7 individuals, and whether things seem fair or not fair or compared, I for one, do not look at anybody coming in and explaining their position in depth, as opposed to, I choose that one over this one. That is the furthest thing from my mind. For Trustee Yang's motion, I too believe very much, and as we all know, that when you certain responsibilities of one person's work that move on to stretches, it just keeps stretching and stretching, and the ability is leaner because your work is heavier. So I appreciate the detail that you provided, Trustee Yang. I think it's important to understand that piece, and yeah, so thank you.
Trustee Tablani, do you want to say anything?
Yeah, I was really on the fence with this one. Mental health, is very important to me. And I do believe that student mental health and well-being should be one of the first and foremost things, that we're concerned about. However, one teacher consultant, I don't think cuts it. I really think that individual teachers, I think it needs to be a team that is managing supports, consultations, referrals, interventions. And when this position was created, the ICY, Integrated Child and Youth Teams, we didn't have those, and now we do. And the reason for having those integrated child and youth teams and working with Vancouver Coastal is because it was supposed to cut down the bureaucracy of someone having to refer the student, and the fact that the parents and the students had to keep retelling their story over and over and over again. These child and youth teams are important, and we need to let them do their work. It sounds like we should be referring directly to them, to Coastal Health, and reduce that number of times that people have to tell that painful story. So I'm not sure that while this consultant probably did some very valuable work, I think we're changing the system and how we manage this position. And, if we're looking at, if we're being pragmatic, saving these positions one over the other and picking through them is not going to help us. It's just not going to help the system. We need to be realistic. And, the provincial and federal governments are in some serious financial issues, and the boards of education across the province are in serious financial hardship, and we're not going to get out of this overnight. So I don't think we can kick the issue down the road. I'm worried about making this structural deficit worse as we go along. I don't think we're going to be out of this next year, so I can't support this amendment, even though, yes, in past, and even now, it would be near and dear to my heart, but we just don't have that luxury. So I think we're going to have to move ahead with some other ways of managing these positions. And so I'm sorry, but it's with a heavy heart that I have to vote against this amendment.
Thank you, Trustee Tablani. Trustee Yang, you get the final word.
Yes, thank you very much. I really do appreciate the comments from across around the table on this amendment, and do want to thank trustees for the opportunity to put this on the floor. Again, I go back to setting ourselves in this context of 3 straight budget cuts that we're going to see, from last year's general budget to the mid-year adjustment that we made in this school year and to this budget. I think something has to be said that the system, folks up and down our learning communities are really feeling it. And to say that we have no room to provide relief is not something that I agree with at this time. And the numbers, and it's simple by looking at the numbers, I think, because last year, according to our policy, just to set the context again, requires us to keep 2 to 4% of the operating budget. Last year, we were at 2% of the operating budget for a total of $5.7 million. This year, my understanding is that our surplus is going to be at 2.32 of the operating budget, so a rise in the proportion to the operating budget at an amount of $6.5 million. So both in proportion and in actual dollar amount, we are projected to stash away more contingency dollars than last year. All that's to say is, I think in this context where folks really up and down the system need that relief, this is, I would say, a moderate proposal in that it's only $153,000 at the end of the day. And I understand that there may be a difference in philosophy around the room, but for me, I can't stick to strict fiscal conservatism at this time when so much of our school communities are asking for us to do more with the money that we have. There's something to be said about the picking and choosing, and I think that's inevitably the nature of any budget process. And I look to districts across British Columbia that are doing the exact same thing. Having very difficult and careful looks at line items and positions. But to me, with all that's been said about student success, about ensuring that our learners are supported, I think that this is a reasonable compromise that we can make as a board to ensure that, yes, we do value the continuum of support that we have in this district and back our commitment with actual dollars. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Okay, so I'm going to read the amendment, and then we'll call for a vote. The amendment is that the Board of Education amend the draft of 2026-2027 annual budget to reverse the proposed budget adjustments of teacher consultant - mental health and school psychologist, and further that the board allocate $153,000 from the operating surplus or contingency reserve to fund the amendment. I'd like to call the questions. All in favor? 1, 2, 3, 4. Any opposed? 2. Motion is carried. Okay, we're going to move on to our second amendment to the draft budget, district inquiry grant, or the report from Trustee Yang. And could you just give a quick intro, and then we'll see if it's going to get seconded,
Yes,
and
sir.
then we'll move on.
Certainly, the amendment is the following, that the Board of Education amend the draft 2026-27 annual budget to allocate $20,000 from the operating surplus or contingency reserve for the district inquiry grant. And I will so move.
Okay, I'm looking for a seconder. Second by Trustee Larson. All right. We will start off with questions regarding this motion. Since we started that in last time, we'll start at this end here. Trustee Tablotny, do you have any questions regarding this motion?
I don't, no.
No? Trustee Larson?
No, just a comment that I think the inquiry grant is critical to our development and professionalism, and so I appreciate the fact that you put this forward.
Okay. Trustee Sargent?
Yeah, thank you. I'm just a little confused by the motion because during the budget process, our superintendent said that after listening to all the feedback from our partner groups, et cetera, and the discussions he had, the deep discussions he was, not us, he was going to find ways to keep the inquiry grants. And I think that's, I think the inquiry grants are extremely important. I was really pleased to hear that. So I applaud the superintendent. I'm not sure what this motion is, but I think it's double doing it. I'm not clear. So this, I certainly don't want to, I know I'm going to be voting against this, but it's already happening in the favor, so it's very confusing. The superintendent is already doing it. I'm happy with that. He's not taking it out of the surplus. I'm happy with that. This motion is null and void, in my opinion. And so I support the inquiry grants, and I support our superintendent. And so I will vote against this because I think it's unclear, double doing it, and it's already done by our superintendent in the process. So I won't be supporting, and I think it just confuses things. Thank you.
Okay, on that,
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Trustee Belisa?
I go over this particular, grant that we have in our school district. And there's so many programs being undertaken because of this funding. Now, what would happen to them if they don't have the funding? So my question first is, we have the BC Inquiry Grant. Have we utilized that particular program where we could have money to help funds like this program in our school system? Have we?
Oscar, money people.
Well, through the chair, if I understand the question correctly, it's whether or not the impact of the inquiry grants in our system. Is that the question from?
The question is, the BC government has an inquiry BC grant program that provides, one is the educational institutions. Are we able to, I guess, explore whether or not we could have funding from them to fund for this particular program?
Well, through the chair, thank you for clarifying that, Trustee Belisa. This is a district inquiry grant measure that allows us to support professional activities and for staff to share promising practices, and that aligns clearly with the work we're doing in the district to support learning. So the simple answer to your question is that the purpose of this grant that comes from the board's budget, it's as a targeted purpose, other than what you've alluded to in terms of a provincial grant that may or may not align with how we use those funds within our district.
There's no question that it's aligned with our strategic priorities. My question is because of time of budget deficiencies or, deficit. We need more money, right, to cover some of this grant. While I agree with the alignment of this and the importance of this program, if we can find other financial sources to cover this, would be, I think, best interest of the district. I'll be inclined to vote for yes, provided further that in the future we could explore other programs that would help cover this particular program. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, well, through the chair, if I may just comment again, there's no question that any revenue source that allows us to do the work that to promote student learning, it's always a good thing. And certainly, I would say if those opportunities exist where those funds are aligned to the work we're doing in our district aligned with our strategic plan, then of course we will do so. I just want to make a comment, and I think that cuts across every one of these situations here. It's important to keep in mind that at the end of the day, even with our budget challenges, as a learning organization and with clear goals around our strategic plan, the board's decisions is always demonstrates your decisions tonight and always demonstrates the values of the board and the commitment of the board around professional learning. So the work around professional learning and building capacity of our educators is always going to be something we prioritize, regardless of our budget gap. So I know that the board believes that. So this, whatever the decision is tonight, whether it's through the trustees' motion or otherwise, it's a commitment we've endeavored to make based on the feedback we've received around the importance of the inquiry grant.
Actually, I have a question. Superintendent Youssef, so regarding the inquiry grant, my understanding was that staff was going to be able to find the funding to operate these, and that not necessarily is coming from the surplus or the extra, that fund. Can you just clarify that?
Yes, Mr. Chair. What we endeavored to do was based on the feedback that we received from our partner groups and the decision with senior team around the importance of this particular grant was to find a way to secure the $175,000 amount to make that happen. My understanding of what's happening tonight is that, Trustee Yang is putting forward a motion. If that motion is upheld by the board, it will come from a revenue source that is identified. In other words, it would not require the superintendent to go back and look for those funds elsewhere. If it fails, given the fact that we've made a commitment to continue for the upcoming school year, it would require the superintendent to go back and look at ways through our operating grants to secure those funds.
All right, so those questions. We still have more debate here. Looking for opinions and or comments. If you're at this point able to share how you're going to vote or why you want to vote, that's up to you. Or if you want to just sort of say what's on your mind regarding this motion. And we're going to start off with Trustee Tablatny.
Yeah, well, I think the inquiry grants are very important. A lot of good work's been done on those, and I'd like to see it continue. I think there's probably ways we can find those funds without dipping into our reserves. And it may come down to that, but I really think that there's probably a way that we can manage that one. So I'm going to vote against the amendment.
Thank you.
I've already
Trustee Lars?
spoken to it.
You're good? Trustee Young, you can do the last one. Trustee Sargent? Trustee Beliza?
I'm okay.
Okay. Trustee Yang, you want the final word?
Yeah, certainly. Thank you very much. As outlined in the motion or in the amendment, this is another area where our strategic plan supports is aligned with the strategic plan to support professional development through inquiry grants, and the whole intent is very simple, is to provide that additional funding to district staff so that in hopes of bringing this back next year, a little bit more funds from the contingency will help that much more in a very difficult fiscal environment. So my understanding is that right now the projected operating fund surplus is about $170,000, and so combined with the previous amendment at $153,000, the $20,000 will come to that. Will come to that number where the operating fund surplus is currently projected. So that's the rationale, and I'll leave it at that. Thank you very much.
Okay, and actually, I am going to make one comment. For myself, I'm just glad that there's a commitment to do the inquiry grants program. Now, where the funding comes from, whether it comes from the, for slasher, lack of a better word, the rainy day fund, or if, as Superintendent Yusi said, they're going to find it within the existing budget, then I prefer that they find it within the existing budget and leave the rainy day fund as is, because the rainy fund, we want to be really careful with, but at the same time too, sometimes it rains a lot and you need to go into it. The going into it for the inquiry funds, when I know what I've been told that we will find it elsewhere, good enough for me. All I care about is that it happens and that it's properly funded. So on that note, I will not be supporting taking the money from the reserves because my understanding is that the money is going to come from elsewhere and that we are going to have this program. So on that note, I'd like to call the question. Sorry, I should read it again. That the Board of Education amend the draft of 2026-2027 annual budget to reverse the proposed budget adjustments. Oh, sorry, wrong one. Amended to that the Board of Education amend the draft 2026-2027 annual budget to allocate $20,000 from the operating surplus or contingent reserve from for the district inquiry grant. I'd like to call the question. All in favor? 1, 2, 3. And all opposed? Any opposed? 1, 2, 3. So here we go. We have a tie, so the motion is defeated. Okay, we are now moving on to motion B, help desk analyst position retention. There's a report from Trustee Beliza. Trustee Beliza, can you just give a quick intro and then we'll see if there's a seconder for your motion? Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. When I think of this motion, I think about urgency, I think about the need, about the organizational effectiveness and sustainability. So the motion states that the Richmond Board of Education amend 2026-2027 annual budget to retain help desk analyst position with 1.0 FTE. And further that the Richmond Board of Education allocate $92,000 from the unrestricted board reserve to fund this position. And these are the rationale. The help desk provide essential service within our district. Help desk analysts provide technical advice on software and system issues. It's essential to ensuring access to learning resources and supporting staff in meeting student needs. Help desk current workload data clearly show that the services are growing and highly demanding. Eliminating these positions does not eliminate the work. It simply shifts significant workload onto other teams, leading to delays, frustrations, and reduced level of services. And that would be, mine will be an example. Help desk analysts are the first responder for the district. They manage not only technical issues, but also stress and frustration that come along with using technology. Our district is reliant on technology. We need to maintain the technical infrastructure that our teachers, staff, and students could rely on. Tech service staff play a vital role in problem solving and innovation. Their ability to implement new systems and meeting technological demands ensure that our district remain efficient and productive. Maintaining our technological infrastructure and services to enhance teaching and learning will accomplish our strategic priority 3, which is organizational effectiveness. Now, my question would be, can you imagine our educational system without technology? And can you have technology without support? What would it be? I experienced the same problem as I mentioned earlier. If there is no support for me, how could I work as a trustee in some of the facets or obligations or responsibility that I'm going to make?
Okay.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Okay, so motion has been raised by trustee Beliza, looking for a seconder. Seconded by trustee Larson. Thank you. So now we will start off with questions. And we'll start from this end here. So if anyone has any questions for trustee Beliza regarding his motion, and we'll start with trustee Sargent. Trustee Sargent, you have any questions?
I know I can just relay, again, I will not be supporting this, and I asked all my questions of staff around this position, and I was very confident with the answers that I got. Thank you.
Thank you. Trustee Yang, do you have any questions for trustee Beliza?
No, I don't think I have any questions at this time.
Okay, I don't have any questions. Trustee Larson, do you have any questions for trustee
I
Beliza?
don't have any comment, I don't have any questions, but I just have a comment, and that
Can you hang
was-
on to that comment, just so we get, we're gonna,
Oh, sorry, what did I? what-
no, we're just doing questions, and then we'll
Oh,
come back
pardon
for
me,
the
sorry
comments, yeah.
about that. Okay.
Trustee Blatney, any questions?
No, I don't have any questions. I had them all answered during all the bug meetings and updates that we had.
Okay. So now we're going to look for a final chance to say comments, or if you do have a question. Trustee Belize, I'll let you go last, because it's
Okay,
your
thank
motion.
you.
So,
I-
no, I'm going to let you go last, so let everyone else speak, and you'll have the last word.
Okay.
All right. Trustee Sargent, that's good. Trustee Yang, you anything you want to say?
I'll just comment on this motion quickly. I think, seeing that, and this was new information to me, that our tech support team was, a small but mighty team, and they certainly with a small mighty team that supports an entire city's worth of learning communities and schools, I think that's actually quite a bit to ask for a team that's not, you can count them with two hands, the number of folks that are help desk or help desk related. So I am inclined to support this, just because I'm recognizing that for a large organization to not have adequate tech support or at the levels it really should be. I think there are smaller organizations out there that have more, tech support and help desk service FTEs, and that's just my hunch. But again, I don't think in the grand scheme of things this is a big ask, considering that we're projected to grow our projected to grow our contingency reserve and all that. So I'll leave it at that. Thank you.
Okay. Trustee Larson, if you have any comments.
Yes, I support this motion, as I am one of those people that uses the tech support quite often, and it's been very helpful. And we received emails from school school administrative assistants, and families and students use the tech support, and there were numerous other shared information, not just at the committee of the whole, but that information was shared with us in an email and a few emails and things like that. So I think, again, yes, we can always change things and do more for one person, but how thin do we go? And yeah, that's, so I feel I definitely will support the motion.
Okay, thank you. Trustee Blatney, any comments?
Yeah, well, I mean, I'm not going to support the motion. While I do appreciate the help desk and everything that our tech department is doing, I understand that they, may be pressed for support and may well find the position, may grieve the position if in fact they can't cover, like they said they could. But I value the work of our staff, and also the administrator that assured us, that the tech team can and will manage the service and support for the district, and that they can manage this in a different way, was what was shared with us, so I can't support that as well. And as I've previously stated, we are doing this work, and it's difficult to cut these positions, but we have to think about the future of this board and whoever will be in place in the fall to continue on. We cannot continue with a structural deficit, and we can't continue using one-time money to fund positions. And so we have to find different ways of doing things. We've been doing it for the 20-some years that I've been sitting on the board, and we've gotten along, and, hopefully we will continue that work. So I really have to caution trustees in what they're doing in saving these positions, because you will have, we're going to have more next year for sure. So, and then if you continue down this path of not making these budgetary decisions, you could have the provincial government step in and remove the board too, which has happened in the past. So just a word of caution. That's it.
Good reminder. On that note, again, we're having very mixed feelings on this. Obviously, we try to keep the cuts away from the classroom, and this is not directly in the classroom, but at the same time too, and I'm going through it from personal experience. When I get stuck, and it's regarding the computer and programs, and when I need the help desk, I need the help desk like right away, not 2 weeks from now, or not filling out a report and waiting for them to call me back. And so, in terms of this position, I think it serves a very valuable, it feels a very valuable responsibility. And as I said, and maybe this is more of my inability to be a computer techie guy. I've come to rely on these guys when I have questions. And so on that, I will, I support having the help desk analyst position. And as I said, part of it is because I believe we really do need them. There's a part, like I said, that, I'm sure I'm not the only one out there that lacks the computer skills to forego this help. So on that note, Trustee Belisa, you get the final word.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. As I mentioned from the beginning, I justify my proposal first on the basis of need, second, organizational effectiveness, and the third, sustainability and urgency. Now, we receive all these emails, so many. It's not because of the number. It's because of the fact, of the need that we experience as a district. So the calls, from not only from the students, from the staff, but from the parents. Now, if we value, our commitment to our partnership and community, then we have to consider all, including the parents and our staff and our teachers. Then the work orders, I will not mention all of this. You have a copy that justify the needs. Second, organizational effectiveness. That's one of our strategic priorities. Help desk analysts, as I've mentioned, are the first responders for the district. They manage not only technical issues, but also the stress, including myself, the frustration that comes along with the using of technology. Our district, like any other institution, is reliant on technology. We need to maintain technical infrastructure that our teachers, staff, and students could rely on. Bear with me. If there's any objections with regard to this, I would say we have to consider twice. And then our staff play a vital role in problem solving and innovation. Yes, this could be shared with other members of the team. But what would happen if the team is already overloaded? Then we have mental, how do you call that, stress and challenges in our, staff. And it would create more problems, mental health and other issues. I could not stress enough the need to have this kind of solution to help our staff, their mental and personal well-being. And then third, sustainability. The question is, can we sustain this? It's very important, especially that we are, always taking this ERM, Enterprise Risk Management, the staff, the kind of challenges that we have. So how do we sustain this? As I go over some of the emails, I come across with the fact that one of the staff will be retiring in the next 2 years. So just in the event that we cannot sustain, we could take that into considerations. And then, but then in terms of sustaining the function, the expertise of that particular team or office or department would continue. In other words, it will give us some kind of security and assurance that the efficiency and the effectiveness of that particular organization's or team would continue for the interest of the school district. So in terms of urgency, every day is urgent for us. I guess, as our chairman mentioned, it's also a challenge for us to be more technologically savvy, but I said we are not trained, we didn't finish, career in technology, so I accept my infallibility, or shall we say, competency, if I could use that term. But again, Mr. Chairman, I accept whatever opinions and decisions with my fellow trustee that I trust.
Okay. Thank you very much, Trustee Lisa. So I am going to read the motion again, that the Richmond Board of Education amend the 2026-2027 annual budget to retain help desk analyst position with 1.0 full-time equivalency, and further, that the Richmond Board of Education allocate $92,000 from the unrestricted board reserve to fund the position. All right, I'd like to call the question. All in favor? Any opposed? Okay. The motion is carried. Okay, we're moving on to item number C. There's the motion for retention of district administrator position, bracket DEI, Indigenous Success, and Student Voice, bracket. The report from Trustee Larson is attached. Trustee Larson, you want to say a few words? Or?
Sure. I did point out the Ministry of Education and Child Care reference to our priority populations, and which includes Indigenous learners and reference to FESL. Also, our priority objective 4 is to cultivate a culture of truth and reconciliation, diversity, anti-racism, and anti-oppression throughout the organization. I struggle with this one. I recognize that this is a big ask, but what first hit me the most is that we're talking about our most vulnerable students, our alternate students. I realize that we're the one position which is to, that I'm asking to maintain, is DEI initiative, supervision of Indigenous success staff and student voice. And I understand, I believe, if I understand correctly, the contracts are 3 to 4 years or something like that. And that, so I'm thinking this individual has worked in that position, building those relationships with district council, Indigenous elders, the success team, and that's critical to our truth and reconciliation. So a new person is going to have to begin at the beginning, I would think, to start to build a relationship. And we have our new Indigenous coach program that is just, a year, I think, in which is still new. And again, I believe the person taking on these responsibilities is responsible for alternate programs, Station Stretch, Horizons, Street View, et cetera, and the people connected with those. So I guess again, our vulnerable students, and that's the area that is changing. And I think sometimes people that are vulnerable have a really difficult time with change. So that's.
All right, thank you. So first off, what I'm going to do is read the motion that the Board of Education amend the draft 2026-27 annual budget to retain the current district administrator position for DEI initiative, supervision of Indigenous success staff, and student voice, and further the board allocate $223,000 from operating surplus or contingency reserve to fund the amendment. Been moved. I'm looking for a seconder.
Second discussion.
Yeah. Second? Okay, so we will start, I think we started that side. We'll go back to this side here. Looking for, no. So starting with discussion, are there any questions regarding this motion?
Just a comment.
Reserve my question later.
Reserve? Trustee Sargent?
A comment, please. Later.
Yeah, okay. Trustee Yang?
Yeah, just a question around if this position were to be, remain as part of the budget strategies. I wonder how the work will be divided, recognizing that we still have a team of DEI folks doing the work. So just wondering how that will be kind of how that workload will be shared.
Trustee Larson, you don't have an answer to this one, right? We're going to.
Pardon me, it said it would be reviewed sorry,
No one please, but Superintendent Eustace.
redistributed.
Through the chair, and that's correct. In general terms, these positions, Trustee Larson is quite correct that these are term positions, that we have a number of term positions in the district. I don't want to speak specifically to the current role, but when those terms come up at the end of term, we provide opportunities in our system. It's an opportunity for us to look at our services being provided, and if there are other ways, if there are ways we can provide those services going forward. So when a term is up, again, like I said, we make those opportunities available to all persons, including the individual who's in that role, whether or not the opportunity to proceed. So, so the answer is yes. If the position is not is not upheld, or if the motion, I should say, if the motion doesn't pass, we have turned our attention to a different delivery model on how we provide that service. If the motion passes, it means that we will have to post for a district position, and because the individual who is in that role has landed in a different role within the system.
Trustee Palani?
No, I don't have any questions, just comment.
Just comments? Okay. All right. Trustee Breeze, Lisa?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. You know, we are being mandated to include in our educational system about the culture of truth and reconciliation from the ministry. The value and the importance of diversity and anti-racism, you know, is something that I felt very deeply. And anti-oppression throughout the organization is very important to me. Initially, the importance of the position is also worthy of considerations. But my question would be, considering also that it entails 223,000, it has got to be important, and at the same time, the responsibility, the big responsibility, is taken care of by the organization, by our district. So my question would be, with this big task, how would the staff or the district will make sure that this responsibility and accountability are taken care of?
Okay.
If I may?
Yep.
Through the chair, I just want to state very clearly that we are committed to truth and reconciliation in the Richmond School District, and we're actually quite proud of the work we do daily in this organization to uphold our commitment to truth and reconciliation. That work is a collective effort. That work does not rest on one individual in this district, and I think it's important for the board, and I'm sure that the board is well aware of the work that happens daily in this organization, and it's something that we prioritize because it's something that this board upholds strongly. So I just want to, I want to be very clear that we're not left with any impression tonight that this adjustment by staff in response to budget pressure in any way diminishes our commitment to truth and reconciliation. So I thought I just wanted to clarify that. The board can be rest assured that whatever the decision of the board tonight, our commitment to truth and reconciliation, will be something that will continue unfettered. So thank you, Mr. Chair.
Okay, thank you very much. Okay, we've had questions from everyone. Any final comments? And we will start, sorry, I lost track. Did we start that end or did we start this end?
We started that, and but-
Start there. Trustee Beliza, do you have any final comments or? Okay. Trustee Sargent?
Yeah, I guess just a comment on this one and then maybe a final comment. I think I'm very passionate about many things in this district, too many things. No, and DEI and Indigenous success has been something that has just been so, I'm just so passionate about making sure that we move forward. And like many things, and through the budget process, I asked many questions of our staff about this position, and it was relayed to me as our superintendent has just done that truth and reconciliation is a priority of this board. And they could see their way a different way, and it is on all of us that we're, including the board, that all the staff in this district work on truth and reconciliation. And then just a general comment, you know, these are one-time saves, but they're people, so they don't just go away. You're committing to that person until the next year. So it's not kind of one-time funding, it's one-time saves. And so, as this happened many years ago, and I had the same opinion, these jobs will and likely be up for discussion again next year. And because we can't, it is, again, I guess I just want to say it's my duty to be kind, to be fair, to be responsible, and to make sure that after all of our discussion, that I don't just put this on next year, not only for the staff, but also for the board. And I guess I just want to give a message to all the staffs that aren't on this list for all the reasons that have been given tonight to save these ones. You can say that on every single person on this list, that they will be stressed out. If they're not on the list, they're going to be stressed out. They're going to have mental wellness issues because they're going to have to cover everything. All of the staff in this room, and including our president, will feel more stress, more. So I find it hard to listen to that. These are the people that will feel undue stress. And I just want to say to our staff out there, I hear you, I feel you, I know you. Whatever we do, all the other people on this list, you make a huge difference. And all the people that not on the list that are going to cover all this, you're going to be stressed and you're going to be sad. And we're going to have to make sure we take care of you. So I just want to acknowledge that. And I want to acknowledge our superintendent, along with our secretary treasurer, because I don't think we've ever come this far before, where we've had a separate meeting and all this. I just want to say I'm really proud of our process, and I'm really proud of the intense work that all of you in this room did. Intense work. This isn't something our staff want to do, is cut their colleagues. So I really want to thank you for looking really hard at every line item. And I'm sorry we are where we are, but we will be here next year. Someone will be here doing worse things. And so I want to do my best to lighten that load a bit for our staff. Anyways, thank you.
Trustee Yang.
Thank you very much, Chairperson. Just on this particular motion, when I first received this and I first look at, the proposal and the dollar amount, it does, as I said earlier, I believe in moderate adjustments. This, however, I think would kind of raise my heart rate a little bit in that this is a single position in management that'll cost $223,000. So, a bit of me, I think, still hold reservations about that. The flip side of that coin, however, is, as identified in the rationale, this position and the work of this position really is, again, to build that continuum, that structure of support for the most vulnerable learners. I myself have seen that firsthand in the work that has been done throughout, whether it's initiatives on student voice, initiatives on anti-racism, initiatives on cultivating that culture of respecting diversity in our district. I completely see that. What scares me is that we are make no illusions about where the next couple months will take this community, and in that we're heading into a very challenging election, I would say, where folks' identities are being demeaned. They're being swept under the rug and being dehumanized. And I don't think that's right. And I think part of that solution must remain the fact that our schools have to remain diverse, it has to remain equitable, and it has to be inclusive, no matter who you are. And I know that's a broad stroke of what we do as a district, and that's, something we've committed to as a board even before my time. But in this juncture, in this particular moment in time, I think that flip side of the coin is really to defend the most vulnerable in our learning communities. And, this position is part of the conversation, is part of the solution, and so is everybody else that's doing the work. And the final comment I guess I'll make of all of this tonight, there's no question that this is tough. There's no question that have we had the opportunity and the means and the resources, either from Victoria or by digging through all the line items that, and all the cash that we have, to be able to retain everybody and support the important work that each and every one of these positions we're talking about and more. I'm sure that all 7 of us would happily do it, but ultimately, again, as I've said in my earlier comments, that these conversations are happening all throughout the province. And it's our job to make a decision at the end of the day, and so we have to treat that with the moderate care, the crucial care, the critical care that it deserves, and I think we've done that tonight. And so, it's not an easy conversation. It won't be easy. Well, and nobody predicts the future, but for me, if we can offer a little more support for the next year for the folks that need it, if that means it's one more person who feels supported in their mental health journey, if that means a couple more parents that are or staff members that have their tech issues resolved, that betters the overall result of our district. So it's not easy, but that's why we're here to do. Choose, and choose we must.
Thank you, Trustee Yang. Trustee Lester, I'm going to bypass you right now. I'm going to give you the last word. And Trustee Tabatny?
Yeah, so I have a comment on this
Yes.
in general. And I do echo Trustee Yang's comments. I value the great work that the current administrator was doing. It's my understanding, that the current administrator is not returning, but someone else would need to apply to the position if we were going to continue with this. This position was necessary to get, specific initiatives off the ground, including grad coaches and other things. Many of the initiatives have been established, and we have been assured that any new uncompleted ones can be covered by our senior staff. And this does cut close to the classroom and our vulnerable students. So it does concern me greatly. These amendments were made with thought, care, and pure and good intentions. But I also have to respect the work of our financial team and senior staff, and the process of our budget advisory working group meetings. I mean, we discussed a lot since January when we started meeting. And choosing one or two positions over another one, they were all important. Everything that we're cutting was important. That's why they were there in the first place. And it feels like we're just putting Band-Aids on things. It feels like we're just placing Band-Aids on the holes that we're making by, cutting these positions. And I think it's going to be important in the future for whoever is here on the board up until the election, and then after the election, whoever the board is, to be doing a lot of advocacy, because we're down to the nitty-gritty now, and it's going to be more important than ever to be loud about, the cuts that we're making. And we need to, we need to be pressing whoever is in the government and sitting, you know, in the legislature in the future, because boards across the province are suffering. It's not just us. They're having to make the same decisions and the same sacrifices that we are. And I have sympathy for all of them. So, you know, did I enter into this lightly? I considered every amendment, believe me. And I wrestled with myself right up until we came into this room. And I listened to all your comments. So I appreciate the amendments that were put forward. I appreciate how everyone voted. And I have to vote with my conscience. And I am very concerned about the few years ahead of us. So that's why I chose to vote the way I did. And I'll have to stand by that. I had to sit on my hands, but I did it. So that's the way I think, and I think every one of us was brave at this table tonight. So that's it for me. And yeah, it's a sad evening, but.
Thank you, Trustee Jablani. Trustee Larson.
Thank you. I'm glad people have brought up a couple of times about what's happened in the last, like this has happened before in 20 years and everything. 20 years ago, I was on the other end of this. So I know what happens in the classroom when things are stretched out. We make it work because you have to, but you pay a toll, and that's fine. That's how it is. I also want to make it really clear that I have the utmost respect for our superintendent and our secretary-treasurer, our senior staff. I always have and I always will. But that doesn't mean that I don't have that because I bring up a concern that I carry. And I want to make that very, very clear because, comments made almost insinuate that it's the other way around, and it isn't. I don't think it's intentional, but that can be how it comes across. And I have the utmost respect for both our superintendent and our secretary-treasurer. And the budget process, we can always look at things. It's taken us, I really enjoy how we have our groups take part and so on and so forth. But I'm the kind of person, forever learner, and we can always build on what we do. So thank you for the opportunity.
Okay. Trustee Polisi, you wanted to
Mr.
make a
Chairman.
comment.
The issues that we deal with in this board, especially with the, our First Nation issues, especially on graduation rate. The graduation rate for our students as a district is 95%. For the indigenous graduates, it's only 76%. There's a big gap. Now, who will do it with this job, making sure that we motivate them to accomplish our priority number one, which is student success. And then we have this DEI issues on diversity and inclusion. It's a big task. Could this be handled by, by many, I know all of us, and by many, especially the executive staff. So those are the issues that, had been trying to resolve out in my mind. So in my opinion, there is a budget issues concerned, and there are some strategies that could be employed so that we make sure that we proceed accordingly and to the best interest of the district. To me, the position is very important, and it should be there. When are we going to implement this one? So my question would be, can we have the position, have the allotment, but delay the, I guess the hiring, if it is still open until we make sure that we address the functionality, the organizational effectiveness of our district. If that could be done, then we make sure that our district is well served with regards to the position and to the fiscal sustainability. If you can do that, you know, it's deserving for consideration.
Secretary Treasurer Wang, you have any comments towards?
I don't have any comments. I guess I believe that's not exactly what the motion was written. The motion is to reverse the budget proposal.
No, just wonder if you want to comment. All right. Sorry, were you asking to,
Yes,
I could-
you,
Yeah. Well, through the chair,
Yeah.
I could comment. The board's determination around the budget provides direction to staff to implement what the district, how it aligns with the strategic plan, and how it allows us to move the work forward. So the question around personnel placement, respectfully, it's a responsibility that you place on staff to fulfill. So I think it's really important that we're not talking about positions tonight, but we're talking about the broader conversation. If the board makes a determination tonight to uphold your motion, the direction you've provided to staff is to post a position and to make sure that that position then is aligned to the work that is happening in the district to fulfill that mandate. So I just want to be very clear that that's what we're talking about tonight, not about individuals. And quite frankly, it would be most concerning to me if we have those conversations in the public boardroom.
I guess to follow up, Mr. Chairman, would it be possible that we have the position in case, you know, we cannot, I think the proposal here, let me backtrack for a moment. If we don't retain this position, this will be absorbed by the executive staff. Am I correct? Or by anybody, or by, you know,
yeah, it will be
the
absorbed.
functions. The functions, it will be given to the staff, right? But if we approve this motion, would it mean that you have to, I guess, appoint somebody right away, or is you still in your hand to make sure that you know, this could be done through sharing or human work sharing?
If I may, through the chair, if the board opposes the motion tonight, it means that we have to post a position, a district administrator position. And it means that we will have to look at our current configuration and supports in the system and come up with what we believe it's most appropriate for that portfolio. So the board will, your decision tonight to oppose that motion gives us direction to post the position, and we'll do so before the end of the school year. In other words, you'll be adding a district administrator position to the budget.
Trustee Belize, any more discussion? Are you okay? All right. Having said that, my sort of comments to all this is that, I mean, I'll say this is a difficult time, and we don't have the money to do the things that we want to do. And so as we sit here and debate, I mean, we're not going to be able to provide the program that we would like to provide, but we are mandated to come in with a balanced budget, and as such, we have to make sure what we spend is basically what we get and don't go over it. So if there's no more further discussion, I'm going to read the motion. sorry, trustee Larson, did you want a final word? You good? Okay. Okay, motion that the Board of Education amend the draft 2026-2027 annual budget to retain the current district administrator position for DEI initiatives, supervision of Indigenous success staff, and student voice, the 1.0 full-time position. And further, that the board allocate $223,000 from operating surplus or contingency reserve to fund this amendment. All right, I'm going to call the question. All in favor? Opposed? Okay, so it's 3-3, and because it's a tie, the motion is defeated. So, all right. Item D, the 2026-27 annual budget strategies are attached for information. That being said, I'm looking to look for adjournment. Looking for a mover and a seconder. Moved by trustee Yang, seconded by, anyone want to leave? Trustee Tablotny. All in favor? Meeting is adjourned. And trustees, we still have to stick around for the balance of the in-camera meeting. You know what? I'm drawing mind blanks. Yeah. Yeah.
I didn't see my
Mine was-
agenda.
What did I drink or something?
Need water.
Or say, didn't mean to put you on the spot sometimes. I get stuck, I just go, okay, oh my.